Love is in the air. Love's in. Who sings that song?
I don't know.
I'm such a great singer. You don't know? It's like he has like a deep voice. Love's in the air. You guys know. Leave it in the comments below.
Remember last year we filmed that lip scrub video and I was like, what did I say? Love is in the air. And then I was like, do you know what else is in there? And you were like, lips.
Just totally off.
And you were like, no, cold weather or something like that. But it was just so funny because we were making lip scrub.
We're always on the same page. Can you guys tell what we're going to talk about today? Roses, candied Valentine hearts.
I have one heart.
You and me, heart. We're going to be talking about love and Valentine's Day with that on the horizon, but not your typical love. I shouldn't say we, because they were like, what? I kind of wanted to touch on the topic of coming back from a broken heart, falling in love again. And even though these two have like picture perfect marriages, I said, come on. You guys can talk about to every other woman who's related, or men if you're watching. You have heartbreak in your marriage. You have times where maybe you don't feel so in love with your husband and you have a hard time and you have to get over that. So we're relying on you guys to give us that backbone of it, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
And if you've ever had a real bad broken heart, have you had a broken heart?
Like in my marriage?
Just in life ever. Have you ever, someone ever broke your heart?
Casey, when we were dating, I started dating Casey when I was 15, so I feel like most of like what I felt and have experienced has been with him, which is good, but I feel like I'm not really the best to give advice, but we broke up a lot, and he would like kiss my friends.
Ultimate.
And so I would like kiss his friends.
I love it.
You know, silly things like that, but I definitely like felt heartbroken because I just loved him so much.
I should have hit you on the head.
Healy. You know, so if we broke up, here is the worst breakup that we ever had.
Yes, the dirt.
It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. We had been together for like 6 months, and he went out of town, and while he was out of town, a couple other boys were like, you should break up with Casey and date me. And I was like, no, because I love Casey so much.
And I was like, no.
So I said no to these boys that were so cute and so nice, and then Casey came home and he heard about it, and so I went over to talk to him, and he was like,
have the talk.
Yeah, he was like, I just think that we should break up. And I was like, what? And he was like, it's just not worth it for me to lose my friends.
Roosevelt.
And I was just like young and stupid, and I was like, okay. Then I get home and he calls me like an hour later and said, I just think we should try it. We don't need to break up. I just think that we should try it. And dumb me, I was like, okay, we can try it. So then like a few days later, I hear he makes out with my friend. I was like, oh, that's what you wanted to try? So then we were broken up for a while, but we got back together. So see what I'm talking about? Like I went through some serious heartbreak with him.
That's hilarious.
It's kind of silly and it's just so stupid. We were just so young. It's funny to look back on our relationship, and I actually like really love it because it makes me laugh. And I'm always like, Casey, if I could go back and do this, I would have said that.
Yeah, I would have done this. I would have done that.
This.
I would have fought so much better.
Yeah. I would have told you no way.
I would have made out with 4 of your friends, not 3. I would have made out with Shay.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Sorry, just kidding. That got weird. That got really weird. Ladies, I have enough brothers to go around, okay?
Yeah. Anyways, that's just like a funny one. And then we actually broke up again.
My gosh.
A little bit later.
Jerry Springer.
And we got back together, and do you know how we got back together?
My mom?
Oh. No. He called me and said, it's Carly's birthday. Will you come shopping with me?
I knew it. I'm the love patch.
I love Carly. Of course I will. That was the last time we
Because I threatened Casey, I'm like, she's the best thing that's ever going to happen to you. Get your life together. You call her. You tell her.
Yeah.
That's very good advice.
Anyways, that's silly.
I didn't know that all these years, this whole time.
Yep.
I love you. Well, you guys, I will admit this online, publicly. You can quote me on this. My brothers did way better than we all thought that they would. So, about that. Who broke your heart?
I don't know. I feel like
I'm not
when
saying
you
that
say,
like it's a good thing. Like,
no, I know.
who did
But
it?
I was thinking about like when you say heartbreak, I feel like a lot of things that happen, but not necessarily like love.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You know.
I think whenever I've had times. Obviously, like when my mom died, I felt like the end of the world, and you do like there's a literal like feeling that you have inside where your heart really feels like it's breaking, and I can say that I have felt that just a small amount of times in my life, but like, you know, when you feel like you're betrayed by somebody, or, you know, just instances where like, wow, that really hurt.
Right.
Like, that really hurt. But I feel like I've been able to come back. I don't know. I feel like it makes you stronger, honestly. Like, I can't say that I'm grateful for the heartbreaks, but I kind of am.
Right. Because going back, you're
like, I don't want it to happen
again.
again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes you stronger. It makes you realize like, oh, I can love. I am a whole person, and it's okay, because other people aren't perfect, you know?
Right.
And I'm not perfect, and it's okay to go through that. And I know sometimes, like, I remember in high school being so brokenhearted by this dumb guy, you know? Like, at the time, you're just like, oh, I can't believe him. Oh, he broke my heart. Oh, I hate you. Ah, you know?
Like, sometimes that was like the fun part, though. Like,
I know.
the drama of it all, you know?
The emotions, yeah. But I just remember, like, I just really, really, really liked him. And he was older than me, so he went off to college, and he was like, oh, we need to take our time and whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. That's fine. We'll break up or whatever. Or take our time. Like, I didn't even know what that meant. Like, it wasn't a real breakup. It was just like, oh,
He just wanted to try it.
He just wanted to try it. True. Yes, that's exactly what happened. And then I saw him at a football game. I was cheerleading, and I turned around and saw him up in the stands holding a girl's hand. Aww. And like, his excuse for breaking up with me was that I was too young. She was my age. So I was like,
Wait, you were cheerleading and you saw this?
Cheerleading.
The rest of the night, we're like, I'm going to do the best toe touches ever, and I hope he's
Totally.
watching.
And I was like, so pretty.
Could you do a toe touch like this? No.
No, girlfriend.
You should win.
I remember
right in the
feeling
head.
super brokenhearted, because he just, it's like, you lied to me. Like, what?
Yeah.
Just be a man and be like, you know what? I don't like you anymore. It would have hurt just as much, but it wouldn't have hurt again when I saw you holding somebody's hand. I don't know.
Why do we
But
always
it's
get
all
mad at the
things.
guys when we think about it? It's like, why weren't you mad at your friends and not
I was.
Casey? Oh, good. Like, girls want to get mad at the guy, and it's like, usually it's the girls that know.
It's like all of them. Rude.
It's all of them.
Oh.
But, you know, at the same time, it's like, you have to go through those heartbreaks to know who you are,
Yeah.
you know, and to be resilient, I guess, learn resilience. You can come back from anything. I promise you, you can come back.
I feel like I wanted to talk about this because I think like when we think about Valentine's, we think about relationships and love. But honestly, like, if you're out there and you're not in a relationship or you're not married, think about all the losses that you've suffered in your life. Maybe whether it's like through a career, you had your heart set on getting a job and you didn't get it. Or maybe your parents have had the best relationship to set for you as an example. Or maybe it was like a high school relationship that's broke your heart. I think it's really healthy to realize that all of these elements in our lives play a part of our level of maturity and vulnerability in relationships. And I didn't realize that until my last relationship before my marriage with Jackson, that I had gone through a lot of things in my life that on the outside looking in, you would never think like that I would have had issues. My parents were married. They never had gone through a divorce or anything catastrophic in our life. But I was really young when I went through like my first real damaging relationship, and it set kind of like the path for the rest of my relationships. And for the longest time, I would blame myself, thinking that I was crazy. I just love drama and going through relationships, and then obviously putting my life online didn't make it any easier, because people only saw a certain amount of what I put out there. And it was really hard for me until I started actually going to a therapist to help me, because I started believing it. Remember when I had texted Kaylee and I was like, if I'm crazy, I trust that you will tell me and I will believe you and I will get help, but you got to tell me, girl. You got to tell me if I'm crazy. Because I got to that point where I thought that, you know, it was all my fault. Everything that I had failed at in life as a relationship, you know, status had went, I felt like wasn't going the right way. And then I had realized that so many different elements that we have in our lives play into who we are as a person. Yeah. The losses, the gains, the ups, the downs, all those things really kind of nurture us into the person that we're going to be. And we start to build walls and we start to accept certain behavior that maybe we don't even realize in that moment is wrong. And sometimes it takes going through that heartbreak or that loss to make you step back and be vulnerable to want to learn, why am I going through this, or what can I learn from it? And so that would be my biggest advice, like, I guess if we're talking about coming back from love, is not always thinking that it's always your fault, but being responsible to say, what can I be, like, what can I learn from this and how can I become better? So in your guys' marriages, I know this is like a vulnerable spot for you, but are there moments or times where you've had to step back and be like, what can I learn from this? How can I be better? Because marriage isn't easy. You know, Jackson and I have a really great marriage, and I feel like all the time I'm like, it's almost like I won't let us be totally happy because I'm just waiting for the car wreck. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we limit ourselves on joy? Because I've been so used to bad things happening that I'm just like, everything's going too great. Something bad is going to happen. But I'm like, what happens in your marriage or in your personal relationship with your husband that's kind of helped you to like overcome that heartbreak and keep you going forward, I guess?
That's a good question.
I mean, deep.
It is. I think, I don't know. That's a hard question. Where do I even start?
Well, I think
I just piled it on them.
I think that you've said a lot lately, like you have to experience all emotions.
Right.
You have to allow yourself to experience the good times and take them in, because sometimes you hold on to those. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that that's what you should base your marriage around, is just this one happy time. But there are a lot of happy times, and cherish those and take those in, because you're going to also feel hurt. Like, in every single relationship, you're going to feel hurt. And so you have to allow yourself to take those in, the good and the bad, and learn from them. You don't always have to be like happy and want them to happen again, but learn from them and grow from them.
I think one time we were talking and I was like, why could he hurt? And this is about Jackson, and we really haven't like gone through anything, major, knock on wood. I don't believe in that. Anyway, still knocking. You said something that like really stood out to me so profoundly. You're like, well, only you have given Jackson that much power to hurt you in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like such a true statement. Like when you decide to be vulnerable with somebody, whether it's like a sister-in-law or a friend or your husband, you're giving them access and power to hurt you. And that's like true vulnerability, is letting somebody have that opportunity to maybe hurt you if they could. And realizing that they probably will. But people's intentions, I would like to believe, aren't malicious. They're not going to do it on purpose. It's just growing pains of growing with your partner and learning different things. Like, it offends me when you put the dishes in the side of the sink. I really want them in this side of the sink. It's like those things like, is he trying to hurt my feelings by doing that? Or, but those moments sometimes are really hard because you feel so like robbed of vulnerability,
Well, you love them more than any other person in the world.
Right.
I love Casey more than I love anyone else.
But you also want to beat them in that same moment,
So when something is upsetting us, that hurts more than anything else could ever hurt, because I love him and I just want things to be good. But then at the same time, when we are in a good place and things are loving, like, nothing feels better than that.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right. Like, you're giving this other person so much power over your heart, and that's not always easy, but it is scary. It is worth it, and it is worth like fighting for that, especially if you just find that person that you know that you're meant to be with.
Right.
Yeah. I just feel like my mind is like so much, because I do like
share it all. I'm gonna open it, ooze it out, let it ooze.
I mean, over the course of our marriage, it hasn't been easy. There's always, there's different steps and phases to our love, if that makes sense. Like, when you're first married, it seems like the world is just this open place, and it's like, we can do anything. And then it's like you have a baby, and it's like, okay, we got to get over this challenge. Like, there's so much that goes into your relationship that you have to learn and change and grow from when you have a baby. And then other stuff happens. And like Shay and I have definitely had really hard years, and some harder than others. And recently it's just been like, whoo, like our life's changing a lot, and things are happening. And I have a therapist that I talk to, and she kind of told me this concept that I was like, I didn't think about that, because as a young girl, I feel like we're kind of conditioned to feel like, okay, I'm gonna find this man and he's gonna be like this, and it's gonna go like this, and you have these expectations, and maybe they're not even conscious expectations, but like you kind of have these subconscious expectations of how your life is gonna go, and then when it doesn't go that way, you're like, wait, I did not sign up for this. But
do not put me down for that.
But really, it's the expectations that you've put on your life that are going to like kind of bring things up. But she said, you're both human. You're both people who have fears and desires and wants and hurt and scars. Yeah. Like you've already built up these certain walls from your past or whatever, and you're coming together in hopes that this person will heal all of that. Right. Like my life is going to be great now because I have this relationship, I have this marriage or whatnot. And what you don't realize is you're bringing two halves and you're trying to make a whole, when really what marriage does is you're kind of happy in this moment for a while, and then you realize, like, I'm still not whole. Right. I'm counting on this person to be my other half, and it's not working. Right. And what you need to do is you need to separate yourself from this person's, like, they're hurting me, they're doing this because of this, and they're doing this to hurt me. And it's not about them hurting you. It's about you needing to heal what's already in there. You know what I mean? What's already been hurt.
Yeah.
And when you can, in a marriage, realize that and, like, separate your crap and have compassion for each other and do those little things that you would want them to do for you, and you find yourself becoming two wholes, and then you can truly be one. Right. And I was like, that is so brilliant, because it makes so much sense. And I've seen that in my life where it's like, Shay will do things where I'm like, well, why would he do that?
Like, you feel it's like personal almost, right?
Yeah, you take it personally, but when you can take yourself out of it and be like, you know what, why did he do that? What are his fears? What are his insecurities? What is he going through? And, like, kind of remove yourself from the situation. Yeah. And you're more able to see, like, you know what, we're both hurt people.
Yeah.
Like, let's just love each other and do for each other what we would want done to us, and we'll see that we can be whole individually, and then when we come together, that just makes us stronger. Yeah. Like, we're not stronger because, what's the word I was looking for? Yeah, I'm all confused now.
No, you're saying so many good things. I think the biggest thing that's really easy to get, like, misconstrued in a relationship is that, like, this person makes me whole. And it's kind of like a cliche that's, like, thrown around in marriages. But I think you're so right. Like, you have to be whole before you, like, allow yourself to come into unity with the other person. Because even though it's like two halves make a whole, that's not true. You need two wholes. Two full functioning humans in a relationship to work. And some days I feel like maybe your spouse will only be pulling 10% and you're pulling 90, but maybe one day you're only pulling 30 and they're pulling 70. But I think the biggest thing, like, that made my success with Jackson in our relationship, and why I feel like I feel so much more grounded when I met him, is because I wasn't looking for him. I wasn't looking for something to make me happy. And I don't think that makes you insecure. I don't think that makes you vulnerable or a man chaser or whatever else, like, crazy ideas are behind that. I enjoy company, and I enjoy, like, my love languages are different. I love physical touch and words of affirmation, especially from the person I love. So for me, it was like, I would find that in a relationship, I thought, you know, and then when that was failing, I took that personally against myself. Like, so I needed to, like, so I needed to find that within myself and be okay and feel those love languages by myself before I found it in a relationship. And it's so cliche, but, like, when you stop looking and you stop trying to be something for somebody else, then you really you pull into, like, your universe that person that's meant to be with you. And it's not easy, and it took me a little longer than other people. Like, why do I have to learn everything the hard way? But I'm so grateful, because there will be moments in Jackson and I's relationships, and I'm like, if I wouldn't have gone through so many crappy relationships and so many failed attempts, I couldn't appreciate these tiny, small moments with him. Even, like, when we just can lay in bed and, like, joke and, like, wrestle, and it's not intimate. It's just, like, we're so happy just to be living in the same moment, you know? Yeah. So cheesy and lovey. Ew. It's true, though. So many feelings going on right now. Ew.
I also think, like, when you've been married for a while, and probably not even married for a while, but with someone for a while, you like, want them to do all of these little things. Like, for a while, this was just happening recently in my pregnant state of being right now. I wanted Casey to hug me. Like, I want him to hug me. Casey's not, like, super affectionate, and I'm actually not super affectionate either. We don't, like, cuddle on the couch, like, you know, but I just wanted him to come up and hug me. And I didn't tell him that, but I was just like, I just want to hug. And then the other day I was like, why don't I just hug him? You know, but it's like we get stuck in these, like, little stubborn stages, and sometimes it's bigger than a hug. Like, I expect this from my husband. Why isn't he doing this? But we're not communicating that. Yeah. They can't read our minds. And, you know, so often in my marriage, I've noticed that I do that really bad with Casey. Like, I just want him to do this. why isn't he doing this? And he's like, what?
You never communicated
Yeah.
this. Do you guys feel like sometimes though, because I do the same thing, and it's like you don't even put it out there, but it's almost like you're testing them.
Right.
And then when it doesn't happen, you feel so failed, but at the same moment you're like, this is silly. I never even told them.
But it's like what you really did was failed yourself.
Yeah, because do you feel like it's so hard to ask for what you want?
It can be, yes.
Just to be like, I just need you to tell me I look beautiful and mean it.
But then you feel like if you have to ask, then it's not
not
genuine.
genuine.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, you don't really love me. Ah.
I literally had this
spouses.
conversation with Casey last night. Because he was teasing me about
Our
something.
camera guy and his wife are making eye contact right now. It's really hilarious. This is not an intervention, by the way, with any relationship happening.
Last night, Casey was teasing me about something, and I was like, yeah, you just always tease me, and then you never give me compliments. And he was like, I told you looked so pretty in a dress that you tried on today. And I was like, I had to, like, ask you. And he was like, I walked by, and I said, oh, what's that dress for? And I said, church. And he said, you look really pretty in it. But to me, I was like, I have to ask you for compliments?
My biggest pet peeve is when Jackson calls me cute. I'm like, nobody wants to have sex with something that's cute. You're my husband. You should desire and want me. It's like a little sister, like, oh, you look cute in that shirt. I'm like,
It's because of those girls
a bunny
all those years
yeah.
ago.
I feel like a little bunny rabbit. Like, oh, that's cute. I'm like, can you say like pretty or beautiful? But like when you say cute to me, for some reason, that just like,
You're lying.
you think I'm a bunny rabbit? That's not what I want.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I just talked about sex with my husband, but I love him. You know, poor husbands. They put up with a lot.
I mean, I think we've talked about it a lot. Communication is key, and it's not always easy. And people
so
communicate
hard.
so differently.
Yeah.
And people's love languages are different. So,
And you change, like
Yeah, you're
like
gonna
just like you
change
said,
so
like
much.
as you grow, your love languages may change, and the way you communicate and things that you may need now in your marriage is different than you needed,
Right.
you know, back then.
right. Well, I feel like when I got married, Casey and I were very much the same. Like, we loved each other so much. We had a good relationship, but we were very private and needed our space.
Yeah.
That's where we were both at, and we were both happy with that. Like, we did our things, and that was fine. And as I've gotten older, I'm much more needy.
Yeah.
I'm much more needy of
Do
him.
you think that has something to do with like how your guys' careers changed? Because it was like you guys were each had your own career, but now it's kind of like you don't have the same career, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're together more.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that, that's how our personalities were at the time. And then
Yeah.
because I was going to school when we got married, and then we did start to have different careers that were really important to us, and we were building those, and we knew that they were important to each other, and so that that was the main focus. But I just feel like with age, I just want
Yeah.
more attention.
I'll cuddle you anytime you want on the
Casey,
couch.
Hug me.
I think it's cute.
So yeah, and that's okay. It's okay to change, and it's okay to, become different people. But it's just important to communicate those things to each other and not just expect a hug. I just want a hug.
Don't call your wife cute. She doesn't want to feel like a bunny.
I think sometimes too when you're thinking, like you said, like I really needed this. I feel like I do that where sometimes I'm like, I need this, I need that, and it's really coming from like a deeper place. I'm like, what am I really needing right now? Like, why am I so needy of him? Why am I like expecting all these things? It's like, yeah, if it's like, will you come and help me do the dishes? I should be able to ask for that, and not feel like
Just help out.
offended.
Yeah.
But I think I realized that it was coming from a deeper level where I wasn't feeling my own worth, and when I don't really need to get that from him. Like, I need to realize that I'm worth it, and that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to speak my needs, because for the longest time that was impossible. Like, I never felt like, oh, I don't deserve it, I'm not gonna ask. Oh, I don't really need anything. And I think maybe that's a woman thing, like a mom thing. You just think I should be the strong one that doesn't ask for any help or anything. But what I realized is like I can ask for what I need and want, and that's okay because I'm worth it. And that sentence alone was so hard for me to get for the longest time. And I think a lot of the times when we're feeling that way, it's coming from a deeper level within us. It's not really what our spouse isn't doing. It's what we're not seeing in ourselves. And so maybe that's.
And I think it's the way we ask for things. Like, I don't think that it's so hard for me to ask for help with housework because I'm very particular about my home and like it being very clean. And so I feel like I'm putting Jackson out if I'm like, can you just help me like sweep and mop the floor? Like, it makes me feel like I'm nagging him. And I think that's from past things. Like, I don't feel like I could be responsible for putting any of the things that are important to me on him. But he like sat me down one day. He's like, you are having contractions. You're like trying to run 2 businesses. Like you need to learn to ask for help. And I think you're just afraid because you think that you're putting me out, or that it was just like hard for me to break down the walls that it's not offending somebody to let them know how you feel. It's just the way you do it. He's like, so instead of complaining about the house being a mess, and like, to me that communicates you're telling me something without actually telling me. So he's like, I will help you whenever. If you just say, babe, can you please help me sweep and mop the floor? He's like, I will always help you. You just might have to remind me. Instead of being like, oh, I'm just so stressed out. The house is a mess. He's like, because I know you're asking for something when you do that without asking for it. I'm like,
And
and
sometimes
it's so
you don't
true.
even know you're asking.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I guess I was asking for that. Okay, you're right. So I think really it just comes down to very simple, plain communication. Like, I just need a day where you do all the laundry today and I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I definitely need that day.
We all need that
Casey,
day.
please do the laundry.
If you guys had like one piece of like advice wrapped around love, it doesn't have to be in your marriage or in necessarily, a relationship. What would your one piece of advice be?
One piece of
One. Change the world with your one piece of advice.
I think don't always search for what you want outside of yourself.
I agree with that.
That goes to my New Year's resolution of being more self-compassionate. I'm realizing, like, you know what? I can love myself and not have to get all this from, Shay or the kids are like, oh, you didn't put your coat away. You hate me, Gavin. Like realizing that, like, a lot of that love needs to come from myself first.
That's really good. I would say, and this is very cliche, but I like just really thought about this, or I just, when you rehear something and it just makes total sense to you. I think I'm always waiting to be happy or waiting to be happy with myself because I'm waiting to lose that weight or to put my house together perfectly, or I'm like, when this happens, then I'll be happy. Like happiness is not a destination, it's a choice, and you get to choose when you can be happy, and that my life is really blessed. And I think that practicing gratitude for the small moments goes such a long ways.
True.
Such a long ways.
Right.
I think don't be afraid to put yourself out there and love again. Like
Yeah.
even if it is in your same relationship, in your same marriage, and you feel like you've put yourself out there and it's hurt, don't be afraid to do it again. Like
So good.
loving someone is worth it. And I know that there are different circumstances with the same person if you don't get that love back, but when you're both trying so hard, don't be afraid to just keep trying and keep loving or moving on to different relationships. Like, don't be afraid to love and to keep trying.
So smart. So spot on, because it's like that's when you fail, is when you stop trying. And you might get hurt 99 times, but then it will finally happen.
Yeah.
I'm living proof, people. Human beings. Well, happy Valentine's Day. I feel like rejuvenated in love. Is that the right word? Rejuvenated?
Yeah, I like it.
Like I need a neck brace on so I can like talk to you both at the same time.
Yeah, this is kind of like a deeper
Yeah.
Valentine's Day episode. If you want to watch some lighter episodes, just all about love and happiness, we do have more of those.
But anyways, we love you guys. Thanks for watching the Moms U and hanging out with us. Happy Valentine's Day, and we will see you next time. Bye.